for VCs, angels, banks, or even the government. And we could even go down the panel again. Basically, I think it goes to yours, Andrew, characteristics of the business perhaps. But the general questions are, what must the company show to be attractive to get that VC, angel, or government or banking financing? Minister?
Yeah, I can talk about this from my own experience, I guess, as a business person. Sometimes in business we take things granted. We think we know it, but maybe the other people will understand it. But I think you need to package yourself. You need to tell what your strengths are, what your customer base is, where are the sales going to come from, and what kind of the niche you have in the market, and what are you going to do to make your business grow. These are some of the kind of the answers I think anybody is looking for who is going to give you the money. They want to know the company is stable, they have a good management, you are managing your balance sheet effectively, and you are putting all the checks and balances in place. You have the systems in place. Your customer service is second to none. I think those are some of the basic questions that you need to answer so that the people get comfortable, that you know your business, you know how to manage it, you know how to grow it, and that the company is positioned to make a good go of it and become successful eventually.
Okay, thank you, Minister. And Andrew, you said characteristic of business determines what? You might even expound on that.
Yeah, sure. Probably what makes us a little different than many lenders is we tend to invest on an enterprise value basis. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the company has to actually be earning money at the time. It just means that there has to be an enterprise value associated with the business. And so, what drives enterprise value? All manner of things. It can be the management team. It can be some sort of recurring basis of revenue. It can be high margins. It can be sticky customers. It can be barriers to entry into your particular industry. It can be costs to exit from that particular industry. It can be technology and other underlying licenses, sort of intangible assets. All those things, I think, address enterprise value. And so those are the sorts of things that we look at when investing, be it debt or in the cases where we go further down the balance sheet and look at sort of a mezzanine type product or even equity. I think that a lot of the underlying fundamentals are the same.
Thank you, Andrew. Grant?
Thank you. I could talk an awful lot about the same things that Andrew has talked about, with regard to helping out small business. Certainly, early on when you're starting a company, it's really worthwhile, though, to approach your banker to talk to them about your businesses. Every company does need a bank account. And the earlier you start to build that relationship with a banker, to start to talk to them about what you're doing, so that when it becomes time that you have a track record for success, which is, you're generating revenues, you're generating, a positive bottom line, that you're going to be able to actually go to the bank and potentially borrow some money. So, it's important to start that, talk to them. Typically, when I'm looking at trying to help a company, I do look at do they have a business plan? Have they thought about what they're doing? Do they really understand how they're going to compete within the market? What's going to happen that means that, a consumer is going to move from their existing source of supply to you. You need to think about those. I look at quality of the management, and certainly in small business, you can't necessarily have a huge breadth of management, but you can certainly have advisors. Those people who are around you that can help support you, you can help talk to them about some of your thoughts and ideas. And, certainly you should be able to, again, reiterate how you're going to compete. And remember, doing nothing is competition when it comes to getting people to come and buy your product. We had a situation where I was meeting a new business about 2 weeks ago, and they were looking at creating a way of tracking what was going on in labs and taking lab notes. And he said, our biggest competition is pencil and paper.
Colin, comment on that?
A lot of the same things. Management is really important. The presentation, what kind of vibe they're giving across. But me personally, I look for kind of things that are like a paradigm shift from the existing world. So I'm looking at internet ideas, which would change the way the music industry works, or change the way the financial industry works at a certain level. So I'm looking for ideas that are a little bit off on the side or over the edge, and because they have biggest potential in my mind. So if I'm going to be taking a lot of high risk, there should be a potential for a high return there as well.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Now, Julian, why did you get that check?
Well, I think, as Grant mentioned, having an advisory board is very important, especially if you're starting up. And, as was mentioned, you might not be able to have a very broad, management team on board. Maybe if, you all kind of left and, like the Nortel exodus led to a lot of great new startups that were led by very strong management. But, a lot of people can't do that. So surrounding yourself with people within your industry, making very good friends with them, and just asking them questions and having that knowledge base there makes you infinitely more attractive to people with money, because they know that you at least have some form of guidance. Also, if you're, especially this really especially applies to a tech field, know your numbers. So if you go into a big tech presentation, make sure you know that if you're shopping around some kind of middleware layer for networking infrastructure or something like that, you're putting up so you're the in-between for a video website where you've got all the back-end technology. Make sure that there's a market for that. I mean, I had people come to me because I do a lot of community advisory in Waterloo, because we've got a lot of students coming out of the university and they've got great new tech ideas, and someone came and said, I've got this great technology layer for video interfacing, for creating sites like Vimeo or YouTube and stuff like that. I said, great, what's your plan? What do you want to do with this? He said, well, I want sites to use our infrastructure to license our technology. And I said, well, great. What's your inevitable plan? Well, we want to be bought out. Well, I said, you need something there. You can't just say, I've got this great technology. You need to see, is there a demand for it? Well, there really isn't right now. I mean, the market is saturated with video websites. How can you take that technology and spin it in a new way and come up with some kind of plan? Maybe it's not a formal, 100-plus page business plan, but at least some kind of plan that you have on paper and in your head that you can present to investors and say, look, in 5 years, this is where I want to be. In 10 years, this is where I want to be. That 5-year plan is very, very important, because it's easy to say right now, this is what we have and this is what we want. But 5 years from now, where will we be? What will our revenues be? Who will our clients be? And having a knowledge of who you can shop to and where your technology can be applied is very important. That's really how we got our money. We surrounded ourselves with a lot of wise people. We had a technology that we had developed internally, and we'd proven its usefulness. We got it vetted against existing products from industry evaluators. We made sure that kind of all our ducks were lined up. We had interested clients. We had, for our services side that we did. And we went to conferences and we got just general industry feel. And coming back with those reports, churning out the numbers, doing projections, and just having a passionate team as well, kind of, making sure that everyone is really deeply involved and that it's something that everyone on the startup side team is absolutely, enthralled with, and they want to do this for the next 10 years of their life or more. Just having all those together, I think, is what helped us out the most.